I'd like to welcome everyone to Boulder City City Council this evening. We will begin by calling the meeting to order, confirmation roll call, and posting. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. The agenda was posted in accordance with Nevada open meeting law, and member Matt Fox is absent.
Thank you. We will ask Pastor Todd Kent if he would offer the invocation, after which we'll keep standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for your grace, for your wisdom. Lord, just that you desire good for all mankind. Lord, you've reminded us that we shouldn't do anything out of selfish ambition or conceit, but that we should consider in lowliness of mind, considering others better than ourselves, and that each of us should not look out only for our own interest, but also the interest of others. Lord, also you've reminded us through your prophet Micah that the simplicity of what you require is to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before you. So God, we just submit to you, pray that you would give us your wisdom, your direction, and that, Lord, you would help there to be peace reigning in this place, that people would have open minds, open hearts, and that we would listen to each other and come to that best solution for the community. God, we thank you and we praise you for your goodness towards all people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Kent. We will now pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the way of public announcements, I know sometimes it's difficult to understand why we do things on City Council the way we do it. There is an order in how we do things, and I thought I would just rehearse with all of us. For instance, public comment. Initially, for the first public comment is items meant to be related to the agenda. And the second one is public comment about anything that you would like to say. At the same time, public comment has tender feelings and sincere concerns about what we do. And one of the things that is somewhat disappointing to people is that we on City Council try not to engage in conversation during public comment. Where sometimes if we do that, it may not be agendized the right way, and we may find ourselves in not in compliance with some of the recommendations and laws that we have in the state of Nevada. So it isn't that we aren't listening, it isn't that we don't care. We want to make sure that we are doing what we should according to the law and the recommendations that we have been given. At the same time, we are open, all of us are open to personal phone calls or emails and or seeing us at all of the grocery stores in Boulder City. Did I smile? So we are grateful for the patience that you show us when we try to restrain from answering comments during public comment. But we are listening, and we do appreciate people who express their concerns and their opinions. With that said, we will move to public comment at this time. So those who are here who would like to come forward, identify yourself, sign in, and say whatever you would like according to matters on the agenda today.
I should sign that. I need to sign this document?
Yes. If you would, please.
then I can speak?
Yes, please, if you would, identify yourself to us, too.
My name is John Higley. I'm a tax accountant, financial planner here in Boulder City. 50 years I've been doing that. So I think I know a little bit about the local business community. In fact, I'm probably an expert on it. I got a letter from the city. I think I got the letter. It was addressed to whom it may concern. That's not my idea of a formal letter. You know, if I'm going to get a formal letter and get notified, it should be to me, not to whom it may concern. That's my first complaint. The second thing I'd like to talk about is this letter was dated February the 8th. Now, I probably got it in the week to follow February 8th. I'm going to say I got it around the 15th when it came across my desk. And then it says I have until the 31st of the month. I'm sorry, the February was a leap month, or whatever you call it, 29th of the month. So I didn't have but maybe 2 weeks to read the letter, understand it. It was totally not understandable to me because it referred to Title 8 and Title 11 as if I'm supposed to be an expert on these things, knew nothing about them. But yet I got 2 weeks to respond and provide some kind of a rebuttal or some kind of a response as was requested in the letter as a business owner in this community. And I want to remind you, I'm a tax accountant. I'm working 6 and 7 days a week right now trying to keep my business going. I don't have time to do this, but I got 2 weeks' notice. This is clearly disrespectful to me and unacceptable, I think, to the masses anyway. So I sent a letter. I did respond with a letter. Did you guys get a copy of my letter to the city manager, whatever? I don't even know who it is. Mays? I sent it back according to the instructions on the letter to Community Development Department. But anyway, did any of you get a letter? I brought an extra one if you haven't gotten it. I brought a whole bunch of extra ones, matter of fact. Can I give you one?
Yeah, you can give the city clerk, and she can make sure all of us have copies.
I gave one to Sherry.
It's in your packet.
Oh, it's in the back? Well, here's 3 more, just in case. So anyway, I did send a letter to the city manager. He responded. I had at least, I'm going to say 15 questions in my letter. They were legitimate questions. I'm supposed to respond to something. I don't even know what it is I'm responding to because the letter he gave me was so vague. It just says that they're going to start issuing citations to businesses and so forth. For what? I'm not even sure. It doesn't explain it in there. I guess I've got to read 400 pages of Title 8 and Title 11 in order to find out what they're talking about. And I certainly can't do that in 2 weeks' time. So, but I did get a letter back from him, and among other things, he said, no, we're not going to hire additional staff to do this code enforcement thing. Even though I was apparently reading between the lines, that they're going to go out and start giving everybody citations and $100, $200, $300, $500 penalties for whatever the violations are. And I presume that from this additional revenue, they would increase the code enforcement staff accordingly and then really send out a bunch of people to give us code violations. But he said that in this letter, they're not going to hire additional people. I'm not sure that that's true. Why would they be doing this if they're not going to do that? And as far as, and then another question I had in my letter was, did you inform all the people and all the businesses in the community? Now, I'm a tax accountant. I got people coming in my office, half a dozen a day. I ask them all, did you get this letter? One in the last month told me they know of this letter. So clearly the city has been very poor about advising the Boulder City public about what the proposal is, what's going on, informing us, you know, I got to know what it is. My letter that I gave out outlines very specific questions. And let me see if I can go over a couple of them here. I says, what's the problem? What is the problem? What is going on in Boulder City that's so egregious that we got to go out and give everybody citations? I don't understand it. It's a simple question. Help me to understand it. Instead, he refers me to Code Title 8 or Title 11. Go read that. Okay, fine. If you want to take a few months out of your life and go read that, do it. I says, if it's Title 8 and Title 11, then it's not just affecting businesses, it's affecting residents too. He's talking about a business study, impact study, which he sent me a copy of it. And I'm going, well, who wrote this business impact study? Nobody consulted me about it. Nobody talked to me about who wrote this. And the business impact study apparently was written by Taylor Teddy. You know, and I think that's this gentleman right here, right? But did you consult with businesses? You're doing a business impact study, right? Wouldn't you want to consult with businesses about this? So did you consult with businesses?
We can't engage in a back and forth comment, and your 6
okay.
minutes is up.
Fine. And then in this thing, he's saying that the amount of revenue to be
Mr. Higley, just so you're aware, this matter will be discussed in full. It is an item on the agenda. If you want to stick around, they'll provide all the background information.
well, this is probably my second council meeting in 50 years, so I'm not very experienced at this. And I'm not sure I have how much time I even have to speak.
It was 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Have I exceeded that? Yes. Well, I just think the city of Boulder City has failed miserably about communicating with businesses and residents. I mean miserably. And 2 weeks' notice is totally unacceptable. And I think you have to agree with that. There's no way I could possibly rebut or respond to that in an effective way. So with that, I'm going to leave it.
Thank you, Mr. Higley. Anyone else want to have public comment? Anyone on the line or put any in writing? Okay.
Good afternoon. Thomas Memmer, 1310 Capri Drive. I'm addressing the council on agenda item 8 and 10B, short-term rentals. STRs violate the city charter, Title 11 of the City Code, Chapters 1, 29, and 36. They're illegal, yet the enforcement mechanism of the city can't or won't do their jobs and enforce the code. I would welcome an explanation of why the code isn't enforced during tonight's City Council's discussion. I strongly urge the council to pass strict legislation to finally put an end to SDRs once and for all. They're a nuisance to Boulder City residents. Late night partying, loud music, parking, and trash left behind on city streets and sidewalks are just some of the obvious problems created by STRs. I don't believe anyone on the council would desire or approve of an STR right next door to their home. I know I don't. STRs don't provide any community benefit, and STRs fail to promote the clean, green Boulder City persona our charter and code were established to preserve. I find it both ironic and hypocritical that Boulder City has a marshal working at our courthouse that is married to a local lawyer, also an officer of the court, that are operating an STR on Raddick Court, circumventing the code for profit. For the record, the lawyer that operates this STR is also a judicial candidate for BC Justice of the Peace. She could possibly be the judge appointed to the city's court position by this very council. If the council fails to act, what message does that send to the residents of BC? Judges and marshals in Boulder City are above the law? Not a good look on the city, if you ask me. My own personal dealings with an individual from an STR resulted in the judge having to issue a 90-day restraining order against that individual. Not a pleasant experience at all. In short, STRs are illegal, plain and simple. Please pass laws that enforce and eliminates this nuisance on city residents and homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here? If you can call in, if you have a comment on public comment, 702-589-9629. And if anyone else is here, please come forward at this time.
Can I comment on that? Or if I already used up my time? Is that a yes?
You've used up your time. No one on the phone?
No calls and no written comments.
Thank you. We will move on then with the rest of the agenda. So we are come to the possible action approval of the regular agenda, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Staff is requesting that item number 9 be removed from the agenda. 7, I'm sorry, item number 7.
Any comments? All those in favor of removing number 7 from the regular agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I think we have to ask
I will note that,
for a first and a second.
Councilman Fox is absent today with very good reason, making sure he's taking appropriate care of family member. Appreciate his priority.
I'll just move to pass the consent agenda with the removal of item 7. A regular
Item 7,
agenda.
so,
Yeah, with
regular
the
agenda.
removal of item number 7.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Thank you, Councilwoman. And on the consent agenda, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Is there a discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Unanimous, one absent. Thank you. Consent agenda has been approved. We'll move to the regular agenda. We'll skip number 7, which has been taken off, and move to number 8, which is bill introduction, bill number 2013, an ordinance of Boulder City, Nevada, amending Title 11 of the City Code, Chapter 1, dealing with short-term rentals. And to explain the introduction, we do an introduction, we don't have a debate, a discussion about it. We have a motion that doesn't require a second, we don't take a vote. This is an introduction of what's going to happen in the next meeting. So in the next meeting, we'll have the discussion about what happens after a bill introduction. So this is simply the bill introduction. So I would accept a motion to introduce bill number 2013 and waive the reading except for title.
Mr. Mayor, I will introduce bill number 2013 and waive the reading except for title.
Thank you, Councilman Walton.
Thank you. Bill number 2013 is an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada to amend Title 11 of the City Code, Chapter 1, Purpose Definitions, Chapter 29, Home Occupations, and Chapter 36, Enforcement, to clarify the prohibition of short-term rentals and general enforcement declaring violations of Title 11, including operation of a short-term rental and other prohibited home occupations as public nuisances, subject to civil citation and fines as set forth in Title 8, Chapter 1, AM-23-371. And this matter will be considered at the following meeting, March 26th.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Move to number 9, introduction of bill number 2014, amending Title 7 regarding animal control to create a breeder's permit. Do I have a motion to introduce bill number 2014 with the reading except for title?
I move to introduce bill number 2014, amending Title 7, waive the reading except for title.
Thank you. Bill number 2014 is an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, amending Title VII, Police Regulations, Chapter 3, Animal Control, to create a breeder's permit, pet fancier foster permit, and act a civil process of enforcement, and clarify provisions and Title IV, Business Regulations, Chapter 1, Business Licenses, Section 22, License Classifications and Fees to create a breeder's permit business license classification. This matter will also be considered at the March 26, 2024 City Council meeting.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And with that, we'll move to regular business number 10 for possible action pertaining to business impact statements pursuant to NRS Chapter 237. Mr. Mays, please.
Good evening, Mayor Hardy, members of the City Council. City staff is proposing fines and fees in 4 areas. They include fines and fees for public nuisance violations, fines and fees for short-term rental violations, fines and fees for dog and cat breeder permits, and then the proposed golf course water budget. Before staff can present the proposed fines and fees to the council for consideration, per state law, we're required to prepare a business impact statement and notify all of the impacted businesses within the community. Staff has followed the state law requirements for the process of that notification and provided an opportunity for businesses to provide comments by March 1st of this year in response to the consideration of these proposed fines and fees. In your packet are all 7 of the comments received regarding the business impact statements and the notification. With respect to the business impact statements, we prepared the statements to show how the potential fines and fees may impact businesses within the community and taking that into consideration. What staff is seeking tonight is simply the acceptance by a motion by the City Council of the business impact statements. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Any questions? Comments?
Yes, sir, thank you. I think we've had some great questions raised thus far, not only by those present, but I've received phone calls asking about this. So I'm going to ask some questions that will allow you to give explanations. So if you'll bear with me, it's not questions that I have, but I think questions that bear explanations. So first of all, if you wouldn't mind, could you please tell us why and where in our ordinances and charter is a business impact statement conducted, and what's the goal and purpose behind it, please?
So it is required by state law. Any law that a municipality is proposing that may potentially impact a business within the community, it requires the municipality to prepare that business impact statement and notify the businesses of that potential cost to conducting business in the community. Our citizens may notice that every one of the city staff reports to the City Council address that very issue, and 95% of the time, there is no impact on businesses, and so that does not require having to address the issue and creating a business impact statement. So we follow state law in terms of what the business impact statement should contain, and it has several questions, and you have the copies of the examples of those questions within your packet and staff's response to each of those.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. And it was also brought up here as well as in phone calls and emails. Since these primarily will potentially impact residents, not necessarily business owners, could you please give this where in the state law, or if it's just simply it doesn't address the fact that residents aren't addressed in these fees and fine structures, and why it's limited to businesses only and doesn't include residences who would potentially be the primary folks that are impacted by these fines and fees.
Yeah, the guidelines in state law are specific to the impact to businesses. Obviously, the city has to follow open meeting law and notice requirements for any type of rules and regulations that are being considered by the council. I think, for example, the very fact that we have proposed ordinances and bills that are being considered by the council tonight, the bill is introduced at this meeting, but as the mayor mentioned, the city council can't take action. That has to occur within 30 days. That's an opportunity for the public to be aware of any proposed new regulations that the city is contemplating.
Thank you. And then could you please enumerate the means by which we're undertaken to reach out to businesses and to make notifications and to post in public spaces, et cetera?
Yeah, so we did various efforts to notify businesses. Obviously, with each of the different business impact statements, that determined which businesses would be notified. So, for example, for the property maintenance fines and fees for public nuisances, a letter was sent to every business within Boulder City. Over 700 letters were sent out. In addition, an email was sent notifying businesses as well, and we notified the chamber of all of the proposed fines and fees that might impact businesses. In a couple instances, we posted notices in the newspaper, both the local newspaper and the RJ, to try to reach potential businesses that would be impacted by some of the fines and fees as proposed. And we have information on the city's website addressing this, and that was where the opportunity was provided for people to submit public comments. Every public comment that we received with questions and concerns, staff followed up and encouraged people to contact us with additional questions, but we wanted to make sure we got back to everybody who had sent comments to the city.
Thank you. And as the mayor alluded to earlier, we are, as a city council body, bound by open meeting law, guidelines, and requirements that keep us on the topic at hand, and I don't want to wander beyond the agenda item as it's listed. So I'm probably starting to get somewhere where I should, narrow the focus or keep it right where it's at. So really what is being asked here is for the council to approve the business impact statements that were conducted. Simple as that, right? And under the 4 headings that you mentioned earlier, the public nuisance, fines and fees, which earlier that title amendment occurred, right? So that's not part of today's discussion. Short-term rentals, breeders and fanciers, which will be upcoming, and then the golf course water budget, which is applicable to not the municipal golf course nor Boulder Creek, but to Cascada, whether it's within our city limits. Is that correct?
Well, that is SNWA's requirements for having water budget for golf courses. It impacts all golf courses, but city's already notified.
Right.
So we were required to notify Cascada in this
Okay.
case.
So that notification specifically to them in this case,
Yes.
but it applies across the board.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, that's all I've got at this point. I appreciate the answers to the questions, Mr. Mays.
Thank you.
I know that when we look here and we see the fines associated with some of these, I think that as opposed to running out and just finding violations, I think that you said we're on a reported basis. Is that how that works?
Correct. So, as Councilmember Walton mentioned, the City Council adopted a new property maintenance code last year and switched the penalties from criminal offenses to civil. And the next step in the process is to put in place the civil penalties. Before we can bring those civil penalties to you, we're required to go through this business impact statement presentation. With respect to code enforcement within the community, it is complaint-based. Certainly, our code enforcement staff try to work with property owners to bring resolution to those issues before we would even get to the fine and fee stage. But it is a requirement to have fines and fees in place if needed.
Right, and these brought forward specifically because the state of Nevada changed a number of things, and we also changed as a council those in connection with those requirements from, like you said, criminal to civil, opening the ability for us to then need an enforcement agent or a mechanism for that.
Yeah, last fall, actually in August, when the new property maintenance code was approved by the city council, it provided a provision for the council to adopt fines and fees by resolution.
Thank you. I just wanted that clarification of how these numbers here came to pass and why they're coming to pass right now. So thank you.
Could you explain the difference between civil and criminal and why it was important for us to change these laws?
Yeah, certainly with a criminal offense, there is a higher standard and burden of proof in order to establish the validity of the violation. Whereas with a civil offense, there's a lower standard. And it is more appropriate for the city to consider these types of offenses as a civil offense anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So bottom line is, we don't want a bunch of criminals in Boulder City. Instead of, we can have a civil approach to this. And this particular item is not about determining putting the fine in place as much as hearing the report and hearing what that report is, and then these will be heard at another time where we get to talk about those quote-unquote fines, for instance.
That is correct.
Okay. So this motion that I'm going to accept will be to accept the report.
Can I add an additional comment, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
I think it's important for all of us to remember that we've had code enforcement, I'll use the term officers, not that they're law enforcement, but they're code enforcement. We've had police volunteers and also members that have been designated as code enforcement within that section for many years. And we've always had codes and ordinances in the city, but without the civil process, it's only been under the criminal process, which, as you enumerated, is a very, very difficult and cumbersome case to present to the standard that the courts require. And this move actually makes it, provides the ability for our code enforcement folks to actually provide meaningful enforcement to codes that are violated, rather than, we all know a particular code, whatever it is. I mean, there's a number of chapters within our codes that can be violated, and it's been very difficult to provide enforcement because the criminal standard, right? So turning it to civil makes it to where we have a better mechanism that's more functional, more responsive, and provides a means to actually enforce the codes that we have. And I think it's worth stating, it may have already been said, our code enforcement folks are very good about going out to wherever a complaint might be, educating the parties and helping them understand what is going on, what the violation is that has been reported, and helping them find a means to come into compliance. and trying to gain understanding and compliance by education rather than walking around, if you will, with a hammer to just lay out a fine or issue a citation and walk away. I don't think anybody in this city can say they've ever had that experience where it's been negative in the fact that they just showed up and were mean and rude and didn't help them understand and just wrote a citation, first visit, and off you go. This isn't an open conversation. And so this allows the ability for those who are trying to educate, trying to understand, or trying to bring understanding to codes and just bring compliance. And I can support it because that's the way Boulder City operates, in a way that's friendly. It's a way that works with the community members, seeks to educate, to find mutual understanding, and then carry on from there. And we're not going to hire additional staff. The number that was in there for the cost of enforcement was part of what our code enforcement officer already receives as a salary. So it's not additional cost, it's what we're paying already. And so we really don't view this as a major shift in the way we approach things with additional staff, additional outlay of personnel costs, or any of those sorts of things. It's a mechanism for us to be able to actually enforce our code. And I think it's been a long time coming. It's been very difficult to be able to see the violations that exist and not be able to enforce them in a meaningful way. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that stated out there, and therein lies my opinion on support of the matter. Mr. Mayor, thanks.
So is that a motion to accept the report?
So I'll make a motion that the business impact statements that are attached and prepared, that we accept the fees and fines for those enumerated items. And that's my motion to accept.
So if I can clarify, we are not setting the fees and fines at this point.
That's correct. Tonight, you're approving the business impact statements.
We're just approving the impact statement. So the motion would be, we accept the...
To approve the business impact statements.
Thank you. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. No. Madam City Clerk, we need to put in excused instead of absent on Councilman Fox.
It's noted that way.
Thank you. And that will move us to, for possible action, item number 11. I've waited a long time to say this. Mr. Hardy?
How you doing, Mayor Hardy and Council? So with item number 11, city staff is asking for council to grant agreement to join this agreement with the Southern Nevada Water Authority, Clark County, and other regional members to collaborate on the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Climate Pollution Reduction Grants Program. So with this grants program, it's for about up to $500 million, and with the city of Boulder City will benefit from energy efficiency. This grant will possibly give us extra funding to set up rebate programs such as weatherization and things like that. And we have, if you guys have any questions, we have Marcy Henderson and Aaron Kilduff from Clark County, as well as Marco Valoda from the city of Las Vegas, to answer any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? As I understand it, there may be 167 homes that could be potentially receive rebates for some of these things.
Yeah, that is correct.
And at no cost to the city of Boulder City.
No, I believe it would be all covered for the grant, but I believe Marcy could speak more to that.
Okay. So you have someone else who wants to come forward and address us?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Marcy Henson. I'm the director of the Department of Environment and Sustainability for Clark County. It's great to see you all again. The last time I appeared in front of you, it was regarding an agreement to work together voluntarily on implementing sustainability and climate resilience actions. And this is one of our very first efforts to work together. So we have benefited from city staff and the advice and guidance of your city attorney, Ms. Walker, on preparing a coalition application to the U.S. EPA for climate pollution reduction implementation grant. And the only obligation of the city is to come to meetings, to staff to come to meetings, participate, and help us report out on the good work that we've done. And the information that Mr. Hardy provided about eligible households in the city of Boulder City is correct. And I'd just like to reassure you that the funding will all come from the grant, and there'll be no additional expenses to the city.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Go ahead.
We live in a historic town that has many homes that could benefit from this. I feel like we already have quite a few programs in place to be able to put in smart. You've talked about that, right? And so this will give us another layer, another opportunity, if this grant comes through, for other individuals in our community to be able to access monies, to be able to help their homes run more efficiently.
That's correct. So the City of Boulder City's programs are among the best of all the utilities that we work with. So
Could you say that again?
I know,
Yes.
I'd love to hear it.
The city's rebates and incentive programs are among the best that we've seen and that we work with. And so an area that this grant will help is with providing additional resources to offer weatherization programs that will help energy use in these buildings and will help offset increasing energy burdens to those communities. So in particular, we see weatherization as an area that this funding could really help contribute and add to what you're already doing.
I agree, and I love the fact that you said no extra cost to us, but all the benefit. So
Correct.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I had a couple of questions. Will this program work with manufactured homes? Or some of our people are living in RVs that are rather old. Will it work with those types of homes?
So we're still in program development, but our intent is it would apply to all buildings.
Okay.
So the key would be that all building owners are eligible, and then our job would be to figure out how to match up those types of buildings with rebates and incentive programs where those are eligible, and then to figure out, what are the remaining things that can be done to decrease the energy burden, increase water conservation, and provide additional assistance. So we're still in program development, but it's our intent.
So a lot of our homes here, our older homes or our manufactured homes, a lot of our seniors or families cannot afford to upgrade their air conditioner. They're working with 30-year-old air conditioners that aren't energy efficient, don't work well with the environment. Are you going to be able, with this grant, would they be able to replace an air conditioner, or is it just limited to windows and insulation?
No, HVAC is a high priority action for the grant.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you coming and giving us such high praises.
Absolutely. Easy to do. Easy to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else, Mr. Hardy? Nobody else? Okay. What's the feeling of council?
I myself think it would be something that would be beneficial for the city of Boulder City.
Is that a motion on resolution number 7768?
Yes, I move to pass resolution number 7768.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. City Manager?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight, before you is resolution number 7769, which repeals and replaces resolution number 7760, placing a question on the 2024 general election ballot asking voter approval to authorize an expenditure from the Capital Improvement Fund to fund a swimming pool recreational project. So as you know, voter approvals required for any expenditures from the Capital Improvement Fund. On February 13th, the City Council directed the City Attorney to draft a question for the 2024 general election ballot to utilize $4 million available in the Capital Improvement Fund to fund a swimming pool recreational project. On February 27th, City Council directed the City Attorney to change the amount from $4 million to $9 million, and this measure seeks final approval of the ballot question language. So essentially, the resolution before you this evening clarifies and differentiates the language from the former question, which read, if funds are available in the Capital Improvement Fund, which they are in fact available. We have over $12 million that is uncommitted in the fund. So the new question reads as, shall the City of Boulder City expend a total amount not to exceed $9 million of currently available funds in the Capital Improvement Fund, which is funded from the proceeds of the sale and lease of city lands, in addition to the $7 million previously approved by the voters in 2021 for a swimming pool recreational project? So I stand for any questions you may have.
Questions? Go ahead.
Just maybe a couple points of clarification regarding the pool and the funds that we currently have so that we can get an idea of what's happening. Here, it talks about how in 2021, our recreational project was anticipated to cost $27 million. How did we come up with that building or that project? How was that reached that this is what we want to build?
So it did start with a pool committee. So there was a committee that was formed to identify what the needs of the city were related to the swimming pool recreational project. And they had many meetings and formed the concept of what the pool is. There were different add-ons and different options for the pool and the site itself. And the specific product that was reached was essentially a replacement for what we have that would be functional. But it's more of a Toyota product and not a Cadillac product.
Okay, so initially, given the plans for the Toyota product, as you called it, it was $27 million. That was in 2021. There's a lot that's happened since then. The American dollar isn't going as far. Eggs cost more, so the pool's going to cost more. That's the way it looks, right? So we took that exact same model and sent it back out so that we could have a better idea of the cost now for us and what was the amount that came back for the exact same thing that was going to cost us $27 million in 2021.
So SCA Design, which is an architecture and engineering firm, created both estimates for us, and so under the current inflation and cost of goods and services, it is now $36 million to build the same pool.
Right, and I just hesitate to wait longer. We either want a pool or we don't want a pool. If in 2 years' worth of time, we've seen inflation take the same Toyota and make it almost $10 million more dollars, I can't even imagine how much it's going to cost in 2028 or some other time. So I think as a council, what we discussed last time is, yes, we want a pool. We want a pool because it is available for everyone in our community, and it services everyone, from the youngest to the oldest. It's a facility, and it's something that we utilize as multi-generational. I bring my grandkids there. I mean, you can do things at that pool that cross generations. So, and I think it's part of our legacy even too, if you go back in our history. It's a beautiful thing. So the comments are, why that much now? Now we know. Inflation, it hits home here too. It's not the Taj Mahal of pools. It's the original Toyota that came out from the pool committee that met, that probably wanted the Taj Mahal of all pools, but realized that that's not really what we need, but crossed off some boxes. So funding sources, we had a generous donation of money from an anonymous donor of 1.6, 1.4, 1.6, yeah. Where is that money now?
So we currently have funds in various different funds. So some is in the equipment and replacement fund. We have some in the building and acquisitions fund. Just the various different funds that the city has. So
Will we be trying to put those all in one place so that we can show the community how much, we know how much we have currently put in different places with anticipation to use it for the pool? And that's about 12 to
we have
13 million.
currently over $12 million on hand for the pool.
That is inclusive of the 1.4.
Correct.
So even though these are sitting in different funds, understand that we know exactly what they're earmarked for. This is not going to be utilized in any other way but for the pool. It is specifically for that. Unfortunately, $12 million is not going to build us a pool. And so we have the advantage of being able to sell, and we already have the voters' approval, Track 350 for a percentage going to the pool, which is 80%, or 90% of the funds going towards the pool of that sell. That doesn't quite get us there. Hence, the voters get to hopefully, with the monies already available, these monies sit in a fund here that can only be utilized when the voters approve them. They cannot be spent any other way but a voter-approved capital improvement project. I myself believe this is a worthwhile project.
Well said. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other, go ahead.
So of the $9 million, what happens if we don't need the $9 million?
So the question's worded as up to. So we'll use what we need, and then anything else would remain in the capital improvement fund for other voter-approved projects.
When we go out to bid for a pool, and it's an estimate, so if they run into something unexpected, is that an add-on, or is that covered in the estimate?
So the estimate does have a contingency, but anything over and above that contingency would have to come from the city's general fund.
And I believe that's why we want to have a little bit of slush in there, just in case of that. Also, could you tell me, what is the cost to the taxpayer by using this fund?
There's no cost to the taxpayer at all. This is funds that are currently on hand. There's no tax increase, there's no fee increase associated with this. So it is money that we already have that's just sitting there, and the fund does replenish about $3 million a year, so that will continue to build as well.
And does this stop us from doing any of our other capital improvement projects?
No, and these are uncommitted funds, so they're just funds sitting in the capital improvement fund that is solely voter approved. So any other projects that the voters would want to approve in the future can utilize this fund, but these funds are essentially handcuffed to only voter-approved initiatives.
Thank you, that answers my question, and I too believe this is a worthwhile project.
Thank you.
I have spoken in public meetings about my favor of this ad nauseum, so I'll save everybody. But just to remind everybody, this isn't tax money that we pay into. This is from our leases and land sales. It's from El Dorado Valley, basically, and other smaller projects, but it's by our own ordinance. All the lease money goes into a fund, and percentages are distributed throughout different funds that we have, but the bulk of it is going into this capital improvement fund. And as the city manager mentioned, we can't spend it at all, staff, council, anybody, unless the voters approve. So that money builds up to the tune of about $3 million a year from our land leases, and there it sits. So we'd love to put it to good use. The voters or the citizens have told us over the years, this is a use that they want it for. And so here we are considering this ballot initiative to hopefully get the right amount of funds to bring this awesome project to conclusion.
Thank you. So, Mr. City Manager, how much money is going to be left in the capital improvement fund when the smoke clears and we've used up to the whole $9 million?
Well, currently, there would be $3 million left if we did the project today, but as I said, it does grow $3 million a year. So it just depends when the project is completed. So let's say the pool is under construction in a year, there would be $5 million in there, and so on.
And I'm unaware of anyone that has come forward with another project that would be of such magnitude as this pool and of such priority at this time. And so I obviously am in favor of it. I would accept a motion.
I think it's also important to recognize that we cannot take out debt more than $1 million for this kind of a thing. So that is another reason that we're handcuffed as a city is, which, is great so we don't get in debt. But when you want to do something of this nature, then you have to find ways to make it happen. And we are a cash basis, basically, and you have to have cash on hand for it. So with that being said, I'd like to pass resolution number 7769.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous with one excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager. So that will be on the ballot and there will be all the usual things that we do to put something on the ballot. Thank you. When will that be?
The November general election
This year.
this year,
Thank you very much.
November 5th to be exact.
Thank you. And with that said, we will open the second period of public comment for anyone to come forward and speak on for 5 minutes if they so choose about anything that concerns them or they would like to suggest. Come forward, please. Identify yourself, sign your name, and teach us.
Well, I don't know if I can teach you. I'm not that smart. My name's Mike Guccione. Been living here in Boulder City about, 15 plus years. But what's going on with the sewer? Because the smell of the sewer smells, okay? It's lousy. It's overwhelming. If you're driving around town and you don't have your air filters on and stuff like that, it takes your breath away, makes your eyes water, okay? And I can't believe that you guys are asking us to vote for a $40 million project that has no end. It's an open check, but you can't figure out how to make the sewer work. Something's wrong. I don't understand how this happens. And it's not just this year. It's been going on for years, for decades, okay? So I just want to know what's going on here. And who do we talk to? Mayor?
So
I'll be happy to talk to you after the meeting.
Is it a secret?
It's public comment, sir, and per the law, the council can't engage in discussion during public comment. It's just your time to provide comment.
Okay. I have one other comment that you can whisper in my ear too. Somebody made a decision to let the fairways at the municipal golf course die over the winter. They were not maintained. They just let nature take its course. There's 60,000 rounds of golf annually at that golf course. They spent a lot of time and energy. A lot of people worked hard to get youth groups and colleges and high schools to come here and participate in golf. I just don't understand what they're thinking when they let the fairways go and they don't maintain the fairways. You know, it's a big thrill to be able to come here and play golf on courses that we have, which are outstanding. They've been that way for years and decades. And to just let them go, it was just like, what are we thinking? Is there a rhyme or reason behind this? You know? That's my comment.
Thank you, sir.
That's it.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyone on the phone line? If you want to
No
call
calls
in,
online, but I have one public comment.
okay, go ahead. If you want to call in, 702-589-9629, and we'll hear something that you'll read into the record.
Yes, this public comment was submitted by Paul Adams, and he lives on Shoshone Way, and his complaint is that there is a house on Shoshone Way that has 9 vehicles, including 2 large fifth wheels, 2 pickups, 2 SUVs, a large boat, a flatbed trailer, and some type of motorcycle, taking up all of the spaces in the cul-de-sac, leaving only 1 spot available for 5 other houses. He said this is the second complaint this week, and suggested there are lots of storage lots in Boulder City that could be used instead of the public streets in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone line, if someone wants to come forward here, that would be appropriate. Get in line. Thank you. Identify yourself, please.
Okay, Mayor Hardy. I like Dr. Hardy better, but that's okay. I don't understand
If
what
you could identify yourself for the record.
I don't understand what you
If you could
approved.
identify yourself for the record.
Oh, my name is Susan Higley. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I don't understand what you approved regarding the swimming pool. That process, I didn't understand. What were you guys voting on for that?
Ma'am, staff is happy to talk to you after the meeting, during the city council meeting. Per the open meeting law, the
Oh.
council cannot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Shields. I live on Shoshone. I'm Paul's neighbor. And it has been a problem that we have dealt with for many, many years. And I think as neighbors of this cul-de-sac that we have been patient and kind. But I think there comes a point when the neighbors on the street should be considered in what exactly is this responsibility of the city as far as not allowing excessive parking? The boat has been sitting there, I would say about 15 years, and hasn't left its spot until yesterday, or a couple days ago, when he moved it just to move the 1 fifth wheel out, to move it out, and it's supposed to go. It's a constant ballet of vehicles and RVs and things. My home is the very bottom of the cul-de-sac, right next to Paul's. I don't have any contiguous parking. I have my driveway, which has where I park my car in one other spot. So if there's no other spots available when I have guests or company, there's nowhere for them to park. So I just think is there anything in the ordinance? I know when I had an RV several years ago, an ordinance was passed that you couldn't park unless it was contiguous to your property. And I had a boat at the time, and I had an RV. The RV was in a storage unit, and the boat, we got a special permission from whoever, the city, to park on this one spot. But it's just, I have since sold everything, and now it's just taken up with everything. And it's, you know, he gets a new vehicle, but he doesn't get rid of a vehicle. So I don't know if there's anything that can be done, but it's just, You know, I don't want to be that neighbor, but it's just now it's gotten to the point where there's no more room in the cul-de-sac. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
I'm going to make one comment if I may.
Sure.
Thank you, Lenny. My name is Kathleen Johnson. I've lived in Boulder City since I think it was 96 when I moved here. My concern is about the condition of our city. Empty buildings that have stayed, for example, the motel on the main highway. That motel has been empty and in disrepair for over 10 years, and it's allowed. And then across the street is the Little City Grill, which was a wonderful, delightful restaurant until the owner left town. I don't know who owns it, but it's in very poor condition. And is that allowed? What are we doing about the beauty of our city? I'm concerned. It shouldn't be allowed. The owners should be responsible for maintaining their property. I fortunately live in a community that has CC&Rs, and we are required to keep our trees trimmed, our houses properly painted, the yards clean, and it's really quite delightful to know that my whole neighborhood is going to be in good condition. So how come the hotel has stayed, that motel? I don't even know the name of it anymore. They fixed up the one next door. But it's my understanding that the building department makes it almost impossible to get anything done in a timely fashion. So that would be another thing I would want to address. We can't have this. It can't be this way. This is Boulder City. What did we used to call it? Green, clean Boulder City? Oh, please. You drive, everybody wants to come and see the dam, but boy, you drive through town. How many empty buildings do we have now? We've got the old 7-Eleven that used to be a gas station there on the highway coming in. Bank of America went away, and that building looks empty. I think it's being used by the mortuary people, which is fine. But there are other empty buildings. And who's responsible? If I walk away and leave my property in disrepair and a mess, the committee that is a part of our CC&Rs, our association, I get fined, and I don't get to wait a year or two. The fine comes right away. That motel has been out there for 10 years. Why? Why has not the city council done something about getting our city back to the level of beauty that it was when I first moved in to Boulder City? We can't allow it. We can't allow it. It makes us not look as handsome as we should be. It's a beautiful city, and so much of it is very beautiful. And our lake is coming back, so let's get over that. There's enough snow to fill it almost halfway up. I care about my city, and it's disturbing. Who's in charge? I thought you guys were. Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments in public comment here? Anyone on the phone line? If not, we'll move to city council report. Go ahead.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, it's kind of awkward that we can't engage in conversation. We really appreciate, I for one am grateful for all the public comment, in person, written, on the phone. And please, and I'm not going to talk directly to those present because I might be walking out of bounds, but I'll say it generally. I give out my telephone number. I'm happy to meet with people in person. My email is on the city's website. I'm happy to give that out as well. Great issues have been brought up, and really kind of around some of the thoughts I had earlier today. And you know, sometimes we take the remarkable and we get so used to it that it becomes mundane or routine. And I'm glad to hear that we can now focus on, I'm not going to call them minor because I agree with everything. Everything's important here, right? Everything that's been brought up. But there are things that the city does that are remarkable, truly remarkable. Staff does fantastic work. We have great charter and great ordinances. We're improving those so that we can improve the quality of life in Boulder City. And by no means are we, as a group, sitting on our hands, wringing them, wondering what to do. A lot is being done about some of the very things that have been brought up today. And I can't wait for staff or council members to engage with citizens to help explain some of those things. So really, it's great to hear from our residents. I appreciate everybody who gives comments and who gives phone calls and text messages and emails and so forth. At the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority meeting today, we continue to set records for visitation, for room night occupancy, for flights coming in and out, and all that equates to income coming into the valley, which affects us in a positive way. Numerous convention events continue to occur, continue to be scheduled out. The Vegas Loop, if you haven't heard of that, which is eventually to be self-driving Tesla vehicles, but for now they're driven by an individual. But the underground loop that connects various hotels with the convention center, and we've approved more easements today to work our way towards the airport ultimately. The monorail is making more money than it ever did, and it's being used for what we hoped it would be, for moving people all around, and it's a great success. Interestingly, the filmmakers are migrating towards the Las Vegas area from other states, which also is a great boon to the economy and the general area. So great things are happening there. I want to make the general statement to remind all of our citizens the strategic plan feedback is open. We're hoping that people are engaging in the surveys, the online opportunities to provide feedback. We have meetings that are coming up, citizen workshops, and the next one coming up escapes me, but is it next week, Mr. City Manager? Can you please? Monday, yeah, thank you. At 5 o'clock. And the location is?
Smith Building.
The Smith Building, thank you. So there will be an in-person opportunity to engage with staff and your fellow citizens about what you want to see on the strategic plan. Council members may be in attendance, but will not be participating in the conversation because we potentially would violate the open meeting law, and we don't want to do that. But a lot of opportunity there to hear important things from the citizens on what we want to see on our strategic plan. And I really encourage all to engage in some fashion in providing your input for us as we proceed forward in establishing our strategic plan for the next 5 years. Very important. So anyway, I will repeat the mantra that I always give when people ask me how I find my service on City Council. It's exactly what I expected, believe it or not, and I love it. I really enjoy serving, and I enjoy working on difficult issues that face Boulder City and finding practical and real-life solutions. And I appreciate the trust that has been given to me this point and look forward to fulfilling that trust. And anyway, that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
One more thing, if I may.
Actually,
No more? Well, you'll hear from me anyway, so.
we look forward.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I echo what you say as far as serving on council. It is, it's a pleasure because Boulder City is a pleasure to live in, and I agree with you on that. And the upcoming strategic plan guides the direction that this city will be going in the next 5 years. And I myself, as I know all of us sitting up here, would love your input. It helps us to understand where you're coming from, what is important to you. Sometimes you can get blinders on when you just have one process going and you're seeing things that other people can't see, but that is why we open it up. Please help us to see what you see. What would you like us to have in this strategic plan? And those opportunities are actually available 3 times in person. There's a survey available. Please fill that out on the city site, right, bcnv.org. You can access that survey. Please put your input in. I appreciate those who have come tonight because clearly you care. And it is a frustrating process for us too, to be listening to you, recognizing your needs and your concerns, and being unable because of state processes to respond to you. We too are handcuffed in this situation as we sit up here. And that's what will happen when we attend the meeting. If we attend Monday night or any of those, it looks like we don't care. And that is untrue. We care. I have an email just like Councilman Walton, and every one of us sitting up here, I respond. I will give you, and have tonight given out, my personal phone number for you to call me. That is why I serve. So I hope you understand that when you bring these things to us, there is a venue for talking to us personally. It's just the problem is talking to us in a group. That's the concern the state has. It's called a walking quorum, or it's called things where it looks like we're trying to get each other's votes. It is what it is. But also with that being said, one of the beautiful things of being here in Boulder City is, for me, is that I get to do Meals on Wheels and help deliver food to seniors that I love. You get to know them. You want to see them. And our senior center is doing its fundraiser this weekend for this very purpose, for these meals. When I showed up today, one of the gentlemen said, I depend on seeing you. I depend on these meals. And he was so excited, he and his wife. So when I received this little notice, I said, I'm going to announce this. If you have an opportunity to go to the fundraiser for the senior center, I've got to get it closer because my eyes aren't what they used to be. It's called the Rock and Roll Stroll Fundraiser for the Meals on Wheels program, and it's on March 16th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to take place at Bicentennial Park. That's located at 999 Colorado Street, next to City Hall, which we all know how to get to. And it is to support that program that is needed in our community and is a vital part of our community. So I encourage you to go. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Well, I too feel like it's a great honor to serve everybody, and it's been a lot of fun for me. In fact, this week I get to go do some fun things once in a while, and I got to go to Grace School, and Wrangler Rose was there, one of the little students, and they had a special dress-up day of going to represent somebody in Boulder City that you want to be like when you grow up. Well, Wrangler wanted to be Councilwoman Booth. So I got to go to her class and talk with the kids and kind of explain to them what City Council does and does for them. So that was a lot of fun. I love that part of it. And then also the street lights. Can I mention that? We've got all the different street lights up. It's on Otono. And I hope everybody goes and tries to find them. I thought they were all going to be black, but there's some that are not black. My favorite ones are. But we're all looking forward to hear your feedback, get your opinion on what you want to see. as streetlights in Boulder City for the next 50, 60 years. So this is your opportunity to really get involved and have a little fun time figuring out which light you like the best. And it's on Otono 600 block. And you'll see the different lights that are up there. One looks like a flying saucer. You heard us talk about that. But then the others are in black, and you'll be able to figure out which ones of those they are. So it was a lot of fun for me looking for those. I say go during the daytime, because at nighttime when you're looking up, all you do is get a glare in your eyes, because I did go by at night to look at them and didn't really get to appreciate how beautiful they are. And during the daytime, you can see it a little bit better. So check those lights out and contact us on those, any one of us. Thank you.
So this is on Otono in Del Prado. So the city's looking at some streetlights, but new streetlights. There are 2 more that will be going up, and we're going to put signs on each one saying what they are and what number they are, and we'll put all that information out on social media and send all that out to you and on our website.
Sorry, I was so excited I couldn't help myself.
Thank you, Councilwoman. May you always be so excited. Speaking of excitement, I got the chance to read to the 3rd and 4th grade students this last time, and they're excited. And when we start looking at the educational system that we have in Boulder City, albeit in Clark County School District, we have about a third of our students, a fourth to a third of our students in the high school who are from someplace elsewhere, because they know how good our educational system here is in Boulder City, and hats off to council who you're over. Speaking of other duties, Councilwoman Jorgensen does education, and it's amazing to see the camaraderie that we have with our students and teachers in Boulder City, and it shows with their abilities and what they've been able to do, even in these times of COVID rehab, I'll call it. We have a wonderful city. Each and every one of us don't mind calling and getting calls from you, and if I were to be so bold and you had a pen, I'd say 702-581-3066. And that's my cell phone, and if you ask me afterwards, I'll say the same thing. But that's what we do. We're interested in what you observe, what you do, and we're thrilled to have people here who care and make Boulder City what it is. So I am grateful for all of the people in Boulder City who have been such a strength in Clark County, and recognize the strength that we have, people who care, people who are involved, people who do things. And I'm grateful for our staff, what they do and how they do it, all within the confines of the legal parameters that we find ourselves in. So thank you. With that, the meeting is adjourned.